He shouts frantically for someone to act, his voice cracking with urgency as he urges the men around him to move. But these are not soldiers.
They are farmers and laborers holding spears they barely know how to use, and the sight of a knight bearing down on them at full gallop fills every one of them with a deeply reasonable kind of dread. The village head, furious and desperate, barks at them to at least raise their weapons, to do something. And they do. Shakily, uncertainly, the men level their spears in Vlad's direction as his horse thunders toward them without slowing down even slightly. Then the horse itself becomes part of the terror. Its eyes burn with something that looks far less like the gaze of a normal animal, and far more like the focused fury of a predator. Then it growls, not like a horse, like something far worse. The sound alone is enough to break what little resolve the villagers had managed to scrape together. They scatter, shielding themselves, unable to process what they are seeing. By the time Vlad brings the horse to an abrupt halt right in front of them, several of the men have already crumpled to the ground, completely overwhelmed. Vlad surveys the wreckage of their resistance without expression and demands to know which one of them is the village head. The man himself remains frozen where he stands, unable to step forward. Vlad's gaze drops briefly to Thomas, battered, one eye swollen red, teeth missing from the beating, and he makes no attempt to disguise his contempt. He raises his voice again, demanding to know who among them had the audacity to disrespect a knight. The village head, still in shock, mutters something about Vlad possibly being an imposter. That small comment changes the atmosphere entirely. It is Stefan, the captain of the mercenary group hired to protect this village, who steps in. His warning is quiet but absolute. He tells the village head plainly that if he were standing in his position, he would already be on his knees. The village head pushes back, pointing to the numbers on his side. Dozens of men versus one, he argues. Surely Stefan and his crew could tip the balance if they simply took the lead. Stefan exhales slowly. He tells the village head to look more carefully at what is standing in front of him. Not a man surrounded by enemies, but a predator studying a flock of sheep. The smile on Vlad's face at that moment says everything Stefan's words cannot. Stefan then calmly announces that his group is withdrawing. One of the peasants erupts in protest, reminding them that they were paid specifically to handle situations like this. Stefan turns to face him with the kind of look that ends conversations. He clarifies who actually hired them, Baron Rosmitz, the true lord of this village, and makes it unmistakably clear that a villager who has spent his whole life coddled by peace has absolutely no standing to question how men like Stefan operate. The mercenaries fall silent, and so do the peasants. One of Stefan's subordinates steps forward and delivers the final blow to whatever confidence the villagers had left. He tells them to drop their weapons. He explains, without any room for doubt, that Vlad is a real knight, one capable of cutting them down with nothing more than a wooden sword if the mood struck him. Then Stefan does something that reframes the entire confrontation. He walks straight to Vlad and bows. Deeply, respectfully. His men follow without hesitation. Vlad acknowledges him as Captain Stefan, noting that it has been some time. The watching villagers are stunned into silence. They had assumed these mercenaries were a potential ally. Instead, they are watching them show deference to the very man they were supposed to oppose. The village head's blood runs cold. A real knight. The legal weight of that title settles over him like a stone. Knights hold the authority to execute for disrespect, immediately, legally, without consequence. He is calculating the full scope of what he has done when Vlad turns toward him and speaks. He tells him he is fortunate, because Vlad is on vacation, and because of that, he is in a generous mood. The village head does not need to be told twice. His legs give out and he hits the ground. Inside the village head's home shortly after, the man remains on his knees. Vlad sits across from him and lays out his terms with the calm of someone who already knows how this ends. 3 gold coins for each villager who pointed a spear at him in the square. Separate charges for those who broke into his squire's home. And for the village head's own son. 10 gold coins. The village head stammers that this is financially impossible for a settlement their size. Vlad listens without sympathy and then offers the only alternative. Each man who raised a weapon against him will lose his left arm. The village head's son will lose both. No negotiations. No third option. The village head, pale and trembling, bows his head in silence. Vlad dismisses everyone from the room and asks to speak with Stefan alone. When the door closes, Stefan exhales and admits that watching Vlad work left him genuinely unsettled. There is clearly more beneath that composed exterior than he had anticipated. Vlad responds without blinking. He had genuinely been weighing whether to make a demonstration. Stefan stares at him for a moment, then quietly notes that nothing about that sounds like humor. The two men settle in with drinks, and the conversation shifts. Vlad asks what brought Stefan, a man of considerable skill, all the way out to a place like this. Stefan explains that after the job in Tonobo, their earnings had been healthy. The countryside felt like a change of pace at first, but the work out here was small, repetitive, and far beneath what the group was capable of. They needed something larger, and this contract with Baron Rosmitz was the answer. Vlad presses for details about the job itself. Stefan acknowledges the protocol around contract confidentiality, then admits it barely qualifies as a secret anymore. Everyone connected to the situation already understands what is coming. A war. A territorial conflict of the type that nobles have always enjoyed at everyone else's expense. What makes the situation particularly dangerous, Stefan explains, is that the so-called bandits raiding the surrounding area are not bandits at all. Their movements are too clean, too coordinated. Hit-and-run operations executed with the precision of trained soldiers. In Stefan's assessment, these raids are nothing more than a prelude, a systematic effort to establish approach routes before an official declaration of war against Marcia. Vlad asks what Baron Rosmitz is doing to prepare. Stefan's answer is blunt. The Baron is intentionally leaving certain villages exposed. They are, in strategic terms, expendable. Human shields bought with time while the Baron assembles troops and secures a defensive perimeter. Stefan and his group have no intention of being part of that calculation. They are leaving by the end of the week. Before the conversation closes, Vlad asks one final question. Who is Rosmitz's enemy? Stefan names House Felos. The name lands differently than Stefan expects. He notices something shift in Vlad's expression. Not recognition exactly, but something deeper, something older. Vlad turns the name over quietly, and then the memories come without invitation. Juerger. A brutal fight. A man whose skill was worth studying from a distance. And then a darker image. A house consumed by fire in the night, bodies scattered across the ground, and standing at the center of it all, a knight gripping a sword still wet with blood. A man known as the Mudboar of Central. The name Felos and those memories are connected, and whatever that connection is, it is clearly something Vlad has not yet finished with.